Hey everyone, it's Tyler here from OpenPython. In this lesson, we're going to be looking at comments, and this is one of those topics that seems incredibly simple when you're starting out, but becomes more important the longer you spend writing code. The basic idea is really straightforward. When you write a Python program, you're actually writing for two different audiences. The first audience is Python itself. Python only cares about instructions that it can execute. The second audience is people. That includes other developers, your future teammates, and perhaps most importantly, your future self. Comments exist for that second audience. So a comment is simply a note inside of your code that Python completely ignores. Anything that starts with a hash symbol is treated as a comment. So for example, in this here, you can see the hashtag line. This is a comment. Python skips it. So when Python runs this code, it skips straight past the comment and executes the print statement instead. The comment never appears in the output. You can also place comments at the end of the line, like here, called an inline comment. Again, Python ignores everything after the hash symbol. This means you can add notes to your code without affecting what the program actually does. One place where comments become useful is when you're trying to explain the purpose of a piece of code. So with our example here, you can see we have a comment above just some variables and a print. So without the comment, the code works perfectly fine. The comment is just there to help the human reading it understand what the code is actually trying to achieve. And that's really the key idea behind comments. They're not instructions for Python, they're explanations for people. Now, one thing I need to talk about is the difference between good comments and bad comments. A lot of beginners think they should comment every single line. In reality, that actually makes code harder to read. So for example, age equals 25, set age to 25. Technically, that's a comment, but does it actually tell you anything useful? No. Anyone with a little bit of experience will know that age equals 25 does that. The comment is just repeating what's already obvious. A much better comment explains why something exists. For example, the minimum age equals 18, legal voting age in this country. Now the comment provides useful context, explains why they're using the number 18. That's the kind of thing comments are actually great for, is formulas. Imagine seeing this BMI formula here. The calculation might not be immediately obvious, so adding a comment above is really helpful because it actually gives us units of measurement and allows the user to understand what the calculation represents. So as your program becomes larger, comments become more and more valuable because they help explain decisions that aren't obvious from within the code itself. Looking at the first exercise, the exercise asks us to add a comment explaining what the code does. So we've already got the code here, which is just total equals 10 plus 20 plus 30, which is going to be 60, right? So a reasonable comment might be, say, calculate the sum of three numbers. So when we run it, the output is 60. Notice the comment doesn't appear anywhere. Python completely ignores it, and that's exactly what we want. The program behaves exactly the same, whether the comment exists or not. Now looking at another common use for comments is temporarily disabling code. So sometimes you may be testing something and you don't want a particular line to run. Instead of deleting it, you can just add a hashtag in front of it and comment it out. So in this example, you can comment out the discount and price equals price and just leave price equals 100 and print price, and that will output 100. And since those two lines start with hash symbols, Python just skips them entirely. So only the final print statement runs. This is something that developers do all the time while troubleshooting problems or experimenting with different solutions. Moving on to the next exercise, the goal is to make only the word hello print. We do not want these other lines printing, so all we have to do here is add a hashtag in front of the other two print solutions. And now when we run the code, only the print output will run, whereas if we get rid of our hashtags, you can see all the other lines. So the other two lines are being completely ignored because they're comments. This is called commenting out code. The code still exists, but Python won't execute it. Now let's discuss multi-line comments. So Python doesn't actually have a dedicated multi-line comment syntax. Instead, the standard approach is simply to write multiple comment lines. So for example, here we have 3 lines just starting with a hashtag each. This is the approach you'll see most in professional Python projects. You may also come across something like this with triple quotes. A lot of beginners will commonly believe this is a special comment syntax. It actually isn't. It's just a string. Python creates the string and immediately throws it away because it's not being used anywhere. So there are legitimate uses for these triple quoted strings, particularly when creating documentation for functions and classes, but we'll cover that later in the course. For now, I'd recommend sticking with the hash symbols for your comments, as it's simple, it's clear, and it's what you see most often in real world Python code. So the main takeaway from this lesson is this: comments are notes for humans, not instructions for Python. Use them to explain what you're doing, not just what the code already says. And do not be afraid to use comments while you're learning. They can be a great way to organize your thoughts and make code easier to understand when you come back to it later. In the next lesson, we'll be continuing building our Python fundamentals and start working with more practical coding concepts. So I'll see you guys in the next lesson.